Well, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Irena. She's a board member, but she has lots of talents and she does lots of different things. And she was at NASA, at the NASA Ames, and is in charge of all quantum energy. She's been directing that research for a number of years, and very active board member, and she's schooled in many, many modalities, and you know, energy teachings, quantum energy, bioinformatics, healing, energy balancing modes, and she has lots of other talents that are there. Now you may have seen her CV, but it's quite impressive, and we're very happy to have her. And we're very happy to be able to have her talk about the Kabbalah, which is really the science of truths of the universe, and that's something that interests me a heck of a lot. So I'm glad that she's going to be talking about that, and I'll turn the meeting over to Irena. Okay, Irena.
Good evening, and thank you for coming. In spite of the weather, in spite of the 101, it's good? Yeah. In spite of this accident that we had right now on the 101. But we all know there are no accidents whatsoever, never ever accidents. So we're going to talk about this right now. You got on your seat a piece of puzzle. And some of you grabbed pencils, and some of you grabbed markers. If you don't have pencil or marker, please have one. We can pass it along. There is a There are two sides. One is the color side, and another one is blank white. It's easier to write on the blank white side, with a marker especially. Or you can use, if you have a pen, you can use the color side. Two things. Just for now, take a breath and a minute to think how you perceive yourself. And the second thing is what you desire right now. What is your most favorable desire for right now? Just these two things. Breathe, think, and write it down. How you perceive yourself. Who do you think you are? How would you define yourself? If somebody asks you who you are, what would you tell? What would you like to tell about yourself? And what is desire in your heart? What you truly, truly desire. When you think you're done, you can just put it away. Let it be. And we jump into the presentation. Beyond Kabbalah. This is new piece of technology. We haven't used it before, so if anything goes wrong, please forgive me. We will try to make it as smooth as possible. I'm not going to talk about myself, I'm going to talk about Kabbalah. Actually, when we met with Mary and we were talking about bringing some interesting topic, she said, "Oh, you know Kabbalah? It's wonderful. I always wanted to hear about that, actually for many years." I said, "Well, it's something surprising because I've studied Kabbalah for quite a number of years, and I've studied it in a group. Actually, group was gathering in my house every week, and we had wonderful, wonderful conversations. We had wonderful gatherings, week after week after week. People were coming and going and joining more and more and more. Right now, we have several groups in the area that study Kabbalah. And if somebody is interested, I can give you referrals at the end. Also, at the end, I'm going to give you some resources for your own continuous studies. Hopefully, if you get interested after we discuss and after we see what is it Kabbalah about. And there are several groups, as I say, in different languages, including English, including Russian, and including Hebrew. So there are some people from Israel, they gather in a couple places. We have in San Francisco and in Greater Bay Area. And we have quite a few in Cupertino and Sunnyvale, if you're interested, yeah. So at the end, I can definitely give you a referral and you might want to join. Why in the groups? You will see probably later on, but I will highlight my teachers and the people who brought me into Kabbalah. They suggested me to listen to introductory lecture, and it was clearly stated that definitely Kabbalah is something that you discover within yourself, but it's not for your own sake. It's for the sake of all of us. And the best way of comprehending, exploring, applying, and discovering is to do all that within a group. And even the bigger the group, the better. So, without further ado, I'm continuing. You probably noticed in the title we misspelled word Kabbalah, and actually purposefully. I was asked to correct it, but I say, no, let's leave it like this, because I want to make a point on that. You may see in different places different spelling, as I brought some examples over here, and the most applicable for Kabbalah as a subject that we're going to talk about is the first way of spelling. That's the most applicable way. How would you like to spell it? There are different variations because there is a Kabbalah we see that's more applicable for mythologies and some theories related to Christianity. With Q, you may find in some books that talking about mystical Kabbalah that teaches tarot, that teach some rituals and some mystical parts. But Kabbalah that we're going to talk today about, and Kabbalah that's actually is available for all of us, and that's what is suggested to use. It's a classical original Kabbalah, which is science. Kabbalah is not mystic, it's not a religion, it's not yoga, it's not ESP, it's not NLP, it's not holistic science, it's not any kind of isms. It is science. But we had a long history for Kabbalah. No? You see, I already got. Since we have a long history, we know during the different implementations of any kind of material, whether it's oral, whether it's oral tradition, whether it's text, whether it's a drawing, whether it's some kind of template, it has some interpretations depending on who is touching it, whose hands it's getting into. And we have different examples of interpretations. So, as because history is literally a huge field for misinterpretation and for fantasies. So I brought example of, you probably heard Mel Brooks made a wonderful movie, a wonderful production that's called History of the World. And this is just a little example of the misinterpretations or interpretations. Who knows how it was? Yeah, loud.
Moses went to the mountain, and God spoke unto him.
Moses, this is the Lord thy God, commanding you to obey my law. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. A deaf man could hear you.
What?
Nothing, punished, forget it.
Oh, Lord, why have you chosen me? What would you have me do for you?
I shall give you my laws, and you shall take them unto the people.
Yes, Lord! Lord, I shall give these laws unto thy people. Hear me! Oh, hear me! All pay heed! The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 10 commandments for all to obey.
Why I decided to bring that to your attention, we all tend to interpret our own way. How many people? Each and every one makes its own interpretation, his own interpretation, his own, not necessarily fantasies, but interpretation, because we all perceive world, ourselves and the world in different ways. And that's the beauty of all of us, actually. And that's what Kabbalah talks about. So a little bit more of a history. Abraham, number one name in terms of names, after the name, human name Abraham. He was a human in the Babylonian time, many centuries ago, that discovered Kabbalah. And it was time of Babylon. So, as you know, what was happening in Babylon, people were separated. So, the main void that was in each heart, the void to fulfill, was answered by Abraham, by the teachings of Kabbalah, the void of unity. And actually, I wanted to bring to attention that Yehudi, which is Jew in English, and it's called Yehudi in Hebrew, it's unity, it means unity. So Abraham was gathering around himself people of all walks of lives, different people, not necessarily Jews, different people from all over the world. He was gathering around himself because he was teaching science of creation. That's what he discovered, science of creation. And that's what people were yearning to hear. They were willing to find the answer for the main question, what is the purpose of life? And he was giving them that. He was giving them those answers through Kabbalah. Abraham was the man who wrote the Sefer of Yetzirah. In Hebrew, it means book of foundation, a book of formation. Actually, you can also say book of creation, because Yetzirah, Litzayer is like painter, also Mitzayer. Litzayer, it's also create. and it's also to make some kind of forms. So that's what the meaning from Hebrew. And Sefer Yetzirah, that's one of the main books in Kabbalah. And right now, all Kabbalists study and teaching that book as well. When we're going to talk about resources, later on you might find that in many places. Try to see what translation you prefer. I wouldn't say something which one is the best, but there are several translations. You might find some that speaks to you specifically. And Abraham was teaching through his writings and also through oral tradition. So he established oral tradition of passing on the knowledge of Kabbalah, wisdom of Kabbalah. Later on came along Moses, hopefully not in the same way that you saw just now. Yeah, and he was continuing the oral tradition. There was less usage of the texting, but more of a mouth to mouth, word to word. And afterwards, there was only oral passing on. So who knows how people were interpreting that? There's no track for more than 2,000 years, no track whatsoever. And only in a few centuries ago, which is about 2,000 years ago, in that period was created the book of Zoar. Also, there are some different versions who wrote book of Zoar. I'm not going to get into that, but you will find it in several references. And this is a book of, I would say it's a blueprint. It's a blueprint of a creation. And that's the main book that helps to comprehend the whole system. And that's actually the main Talmud, which is main book of that science, of Kabbalah. So the book of Zoar, right now, getting translated by some great enthusiast and wonderful man. He's a scientist. He's a doctor in Berkeley, over here. He's local, and he got sponsored. So for the first time in history, he's taken all books that related somehow, anyhow, to Kabbalah, which is Talmud, Torah, Book of Zoar, Sefer of Yetzirah, and many, many other books, Sulam. He taken all those in Hebrew and Aramaic, in original languages, put them together, along with some interpretations that were put by Christians during the persecution times, and he's translating, including really, really many different levels. So the book of Zoar, this is one of the books that I would recommend you to take a look later on. And after it was written, it became hidden. When it was revealed to the people, it was understood by Kabbalists that people are not ready yet. It has such a profound message that holds within that people need to be ready. We are ready now. The book came out to the world, and all the knowledge of Kabbalah came out to the world and became really, really accessible in 1980. 1990, it became even more, and starting from a year of 2000, more and more and more and more people started to write books and make translations and make different commentaries and different programs and TV stations and institutions, organizations, it became really public. Before, in order to become Kabbalist, student of Kabbalah, you had to be qualified. And some of the qualifications: person has to be Jew, has to be. Person has to be male, over 40 years old, married, and at least be efficient with 5 or 6 main Talmudic, which is Jewish, other methods. So fluent and pretty knowledgeable in those methods. And there were not enough people. There were very, very little amount of people that would qualify for such studies. And no wonder that it was kind of hidden, so nobody really for purpose was hiding it, but it was just naturally was hidden from the masses, from the public. So, and of course, this stigmatic vision that it's mystical, that it's something magical, came along because it was not really popular, was not really known by many people. So, what Kabbalah teaches? So Kabbalah teaches about upper world, teaches about the Creator and the creation, the whole process of creation. And you will find in the books, you will find in the commentaries, you will find in your discoveries that the main idea of the creation is to teach how to receive. The word Kabbalah in Hebrew means reception. Lekabel, that means to receive. And Kabbalah, it's a science of reception. It's a science that teaches how to receive. We were talking about desires. Each and every one has desires. We say it's in our heart. It's not literally in the heart as a biological part of our body, but it's in our heart, which means it's in our consciousness, it's in our soul. And Kabbalah teaches, the wisdom of Kabbalah teaches that Creator is a complete bestowal. It's a power of bestowal. And you'll find some terms like Ein Sof, that means no end. It fills completely the whole space. It fills completely, it's a complete light, absolute light. And this light, it's a general force that the meaning of that force is to bestow, it's to give. And the idea of a creation came along when there was an idea born that in order to bestow, you need to have something that will receive. In order to give, you need to have some that will get it. So that's how came the creation. And the creation, it's our humanity. Humanity, which is one. It's a one creature, consisted of many, 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 many parts. What happened during the creation, it's that's the whole light, this endless light, which is Creator, in order to create a space for its creation, it got really, really small into a very little dot. It got squeezed, literally, in order to create a space. Because when you fill up whole space, and in order to add something, you need to create space, right, for your new creation. So it's very logical. So in order to create space, it needed to be squeezed. In Hebrew, that's the term tzimtzum. You see that word in many places, tzimtzum. That means really, really get squeezed into one little dot. And that little dot, it's everything that we know. It's us, it's our planet, it's our system, it's our galaxies, it's whatever we can comprehend, whatever we can see, whatever we can sense, that's all fits into that little dot. And that little dot filled with the feature of receiving. So basically there are two general forces, one main force that gives and another major force which is absolutely equivalent, that receives. And in order to receive, you need to be a vessel. So the term vessel used in a science of Kabbalah in order to metaphorically explain the feature of the creation, the feature of the humanity, and as a result, the feature of each and every one of us. So when the creator created the creature in the image of itself, he called him Adam, and Adam Arishon, which means the primer man, primer creation, will to receive. And in Israel, we call people as Bnei Adam. Human beings are Bnei Adam. That means children of Adam, literally. So we don't call human beings, we call Bnei Adams. So it's very explainable. And in the Kabbalah, you will find that Creator used 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, including 7 numbers, and that was the base of the creation. Those were the tools of the creation. And tomorrow we're going to get deeper into meaning of each and every one letter that were used for creation, and that actually right now still suggested to use in order to work with your DNA. And there are many ways that you can apply Hebrew letters. You can apply the readings of the sounds and the shapes of those letters, because it is important. There are components as a sounds, and there are components as a shapes of those letters. And there are many applications, and we will use it tomorrow in order to read your name, because your name can tell you your past, your present, and your future. From your name, you can learn your potential, actually open up your blueprint by reading those letters. So tomorrow, for those who are interested, I'm going to teach that. That would be part of the workshop. And as it says over here, you see that that humanity is one creature containing the whole of the creation. And that was the idea of the whole creation. The meaning was that to break into the parts, one big piece, to break into the parts, and then through self-exploration, each part get connected to each other. By that they unite and become again as a whole. as it was at the beginning of the creation. That was the whole idea. Through exploration, you discover the unity, and by discovering the unity, you unite, and instantly you unite with the Creator. In order to do that, each person can use this little piece that was given to each and every creation. And wisdom of Kabbalah teaches that this little piece, it's a little tiny, teeny tiny spot in a heart. You will find in many diagrams pictures like that in the heart there's a little tiny spot that when you start your adventure through Kabbalah, through the wisdom of Kabbalah, start discovering that little spot, this little point in the heart. It's starting growing, and it started working by itself. You basically activate it. How you can activate it? Basically, Kabbalah helps to build the desire within each and every student who starts to learn wisdom of Kabbalah. And again, there is no relationship to Judaism, no relationship to any kind of religion, any kind of belief. It's a complete pure science. How you build up the system, how you build up this desire within yourself by literally experimenting, applying, trying by yourself, recording it, and then sharing with others, like in a group. And then again, applying, observing, experimenting. So like any kind of science, that's what we do, right? We experiment, we record, and then we share with others. So in the Kabbalah, you will see that it explains this little tiny point in your heart as a little seed that grows into the bigger desire. You will see that in studies of Kabbalah, there are many diagrams, there are many formulas, there are many illustrations of different experiments, different applications. You will see shapes, you will see forms. You see some familiar things, right? Already. You see how it relates to your body. You see how it relates to the body parts. You see how it relates to relationship. You will see how it relates to the levels of the growth of the soul, of the consciousness, of the understanding. You can see over here examples of the studies and the illustrations of applications. Thank you. Illustrations of applications. Different shapes, crystalline forms, different relationships with other methods and teachings and philosophies. For example, if you take, let me go back a little bit now. If you take example of Tree of Life, that's the picture of Tree of Life, famous by its name, but it's a part of Sefer of Yetzirah, which is the first book that was created by Abraham. That's the book of creation, and that's basically the illustration, the system of how the world was created and how it's actually managing right now, how it's maintained. So we will discuss more tomorrow, but we will see the connections of different sephirot, which is different emanations of God on the different levels, how they interconnect, how they create by the help of the ways how they connect. They also create additional levels. They create additional dimensions, and you will see in the parallel that it's applicable to methods, teachings of I Ching, to the teachings of Tai Chi, to the teachings of tarots, astrology, anatomy, completely. I might have more pictures. No. And I'll bring tomorrow more because I have more illustrations, so that's why we will do it tomorrow. But you will see the how it relates to chakras, to planets, to zodiac system. So there are many, almost every method, religion, philosophy you take, you can find some resemblance with Kabbalah. And that's probably the reason why Kabbalah was kind of misguided, kind of implemented. And many people were believing that it's a mystic, or it's a tradition, or it's a belief, or it's some kind of cult, because it was applicable in so many places, including Freemasonic. Tomorrow, actually, we're going to have this workshop in main lodge of Freemasonics, in kind of ironically. Main lodge has a lot of symbols on the walls. You will see that's really not just resembles, but it's really literally taken from Kabbalah. So, going back to the creation, the main idea, the creature who is the creator, who is the creation, that creature has the feature of the receiving, and receiving for itself. At the beginning, there was another version of creation, and you can find it in Genesis, you can find it in many other resources, but the idea of first creation, I would say first version, it was I want to give, and I want to have somebody who will receive. So the first creation was perfect match. There was a creator and there was an Adam. That perfect creation that was completely fulfilled and happy. So there was a giving, it was receiving. So the vessel was fulfilled and everybody was happy. But then it was too boring. Then there was a second version of creation. Okay, let's put some resistance. And that's what happened. That's when the shattering happened, which means division into many parts. That's when, instead of just one whole great vessel, which is perfect receiver, with a great cause, with a great heart, whole, complete, it was shattered into many pieces. That's how we become. That's we came along, those little pieces. That's why you have those pieces of puzzles as each and every one, because the main point of the whole creation is that all pieces come together. But how we can come together? Only when we realize that we are pieces of puzzle, that we are pieces of one, that each and every one complement each other. We add each other. And only when we get together, then we get this great enlightenment. Then we unite, and then when we get the infinite life, we actually have our way back home. You can find it in many, 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 many traditions, teachings, and philosophies. Finding your way home. That's actually what it means. Finding your way home, back to be one with the Creator, and basically be as Creator or is Creator. But right now we are still in parts. We are separated, we feel detached, we feel isolated, we live in a space-time environment. Our 3D life, three-dimensional, we can call it four-dimensional right now, officially. It has space and it has time. It separates us. When we want to create a puzzle, we take pieces and we really try hard to put one to each other, that it will click to each other, right? We don't want to have any space in between, because what happens? Very soon we won't be able to fit one piece to another, right? We want to keep it really, really tight, not space whatsoever. And that's exactly the meaning of creation. No space, no separation. To feel that, each and every one has to develop within itself the perfect vessel, knowing how to receive the bestowal of the Creator. And actually that's what Kabbalah teaches. Tomorrow we'll go more deeper. We don't have enough time today, we have short evening today, but those are the examples of the stages and actual explanation of how we can develop that stage by stage, level by level, how we can develop that perfect desire to receive and what it means. Meanwhile, most of the people feel detached. Meanwhile, most of the people ask, who am I? What is the purpose of life? Most of the gathering, most of the spiritual teachers receive that question still. Another humorous way of how we can look at that even though we ask and we want to hear the answer, and the Creator, as mighty, almighty, always wants to give the answer, and it gives right away. You remember in Bible it say, ask and it is given, right? But we don't hear, most of us, we don't hear those answers. We don't hear those signs. So if you remember Bruce Almighty, the scene.
Okay, God. You want me to talk to you?
Then talk back. Tell me what's going on. What should I do? Give me a signal.
Signal given.
I need your guidance, Lord. Please send me a sign.
Not enough, right?
Oh, what's this joker doing now? Okay. All right. I'll try it your way. All right. Lord, I need a miracle. I'm desperate. I need your help, Lord. Please reach into my life. What the heck? Where are ya? I got ya.
Signs were all alone, right?
eternal wrath. Smite me, almighty smiter! You're the one who should be fired! The only one around here not doing his job is you! Answer me!
And you remember probably, right? If you didn't watch that, please watch it. It's one of the best movies. Yeah, yeah. So next lecture, right? We have about if the God exists or not, right? If He's giving answers or not. Yeah, mighty Almighty. So yes, always, because the meaning of the Creator, I mean, the main feature of the Creator, actually, Creator is the divine force, that force of bestowal, force of giving. Constantly, non-stop, always giving, complete bestowal. But we created the way, the second version, we created the way that we like to receive for ourselves. And the wisdom of Kabbalah teaches how we can grow this desire to receive, transform that desire to receive for just for ourselves into desire to receive for everyone, for others. And you hear this saying, love your neighbor as thyself, right? And that's the core of the creation. In order to love, you need to learn how to be fulfilled. In order to give and have a desire to give, you need to be fulfilled. So we are talking about the vessel, which is creation, which is human being, that can be fulfilled only when it has the enough capacity to get the whole divine bestowal, whole divine force, which is given constantly. So basically the idea of the creation is that the human, which is part of the creation, will develop that vessel. I want to bring one more example from the movies, and actually in Hollywood you can notice many people study Kabbalah, at least know some part of Kabbalah, or at least get familiar with that, because you can find in many productions the ideas, more and more and more right now. Matrix, trilogy, Matrix. I've heard that it was made as a project sponsored by Kabbalic Society. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but that's what I heard. Maybe it is true, but apparently all who created that production, they were studying some of the books that relate to Kabbalah. And you remember probably Agent Smith. And Agent Smith, it's along with Neo all the time, big part of the creation. That's the resistance, that's the ego, that's the opponent of each and every one. Opponent that helps to create that resistance in order for creation to discover ways how to develop that vessel, how to develop that great and ultimate desire to be fulfilled with the greater power of the Creator, how to get united with the Creator. And here, should I read it? Or you can read it, yeah. So Agent Smith, he met with Oracle, and after that he met with Neo, and he said Neo that Did you know that first matrix was designed to be a perfect human world, where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. You remember when we spoke about the first version? Yeah, everything was so perfect. So basically it was a disaster because nothing happened, literally. So no one would accept the program. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world. But I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. The perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from, which is why the matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization. And this second version, which we live in, which is the creation, which is the idea of the great power given, the creature that is creation is trying to receive and trying to learn how to receive through resistance. And resistance is another aspect of you, which is ego. And it's nothing wrong to have it, but it's wrong not to know about that and not to know about this purpose. And it's just helpful to learn about ego and work with it and co-create with that.
Mr. Anderson, did you get my package?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Smith, whoever it is, he's not reading like an agent.
Surprised to see me?
No.
Then you're aware of it.
Of what?
Our connection. I don't fully understand how it happened. Perhaps some part of you imprinted onto me, something overwritten or copied. It is at this point irrelevant. What matters is that whatever happened, happened for a reason.
And what reason is that?
I killed you, Mr. Anderson. I watched you die. With a certain satisfaction, I might add. And then something happened. Something that I knew was impossible, but it happened anyway. You destroyed me, Mr. Anderson. Afterward, I knew the rules, I understood what I was supposed to do, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was compelled to stay, compelled to disobey. And now here I stand because of you, Mr. Anderson, because of you. I'm no longer an agent of this system. Because of you, I've changed, I'm unplugged, a new man, so to speak. Like you, apparently free.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But, as you well know, appearances can be deceiving, which brings me back to the reason why we're here. We're not here because we're free. We're here because we're not free. There's no escaping reason, no denying purpose, because as we both know, without purpose, we would not exist. It is purpose that created us. Purpose that connects us. Purpose that pulls us, that guides us, that drives us. It is purpose that defines. Purpose that binds us. We are here because of you, Mr. Anderson. We're here to take from you what you tried to take from us.
Yeah, because of you, part of you. Yeah, that's the whole purpose of creation. It should be some kind of power of resistance in order to discover the truth. And that's the wisdom of the creation. But Kabbalah teaches how to transform. So Neo is just example of that transformation. He was transformed into the power of receiving, into ultimate power of the strongest desire to get fulfilled. And he became the one. So tomorrow we're going to go more into Tree of Life, this whole system, which is blueprint, which is encoding, which is system. Right now, many physicists come up with the idea of the discovery of the idea that there are some coding exists in our world, and we live by rules of some kind of system that unknown, invisible, but definitely experienced by us. And right now it's still in stipulation period, but Kabbalah has been talking about it for all these centuries. And each creature has to go through transformation in order to get the awakening state, in order to get to the understanding what are the features of the upper world. In order to connect with the upper world, you have to have the qualities of that. In order to become one with the Creator, you have to have qualities of the Creator. And again, what are the qualities of Creator? It's to give, ultimate bestowal. So it's something that you carry not about yourself, but about everybody as a whole. And tomorrow we will study more about the two main sides, male and female. They're called stellars of mercy and stellars of justice, which are in I Ching, it's yin and yang, which is in zodiac system. It's two polar sides. The scheme of creation explains duality of our system, duality of our world. We have two hands, we have two eyes, we have two ears, we have two legs, and etc., etc. We have pairs, we always have opposites. The middle stellar, that's the balance, that's the ultimate. That was the unity. That was the unity of Adam and Eve at the beginning of the creation. Adam and Eve. The unity of it, it was in the middle. That was the perfect Ben Adam, perfect human, perfect creation. We will study more about the meaning of the letters that actually were used for the creation. Each letter represents emanation of a God. Emanation, and which means aspect of God. You find some similar shapes, like Taurus, right? Come from Kabbalah as well. So in order to perceive more, we need to extend our range of perception. And in order to extend a range of perception, like in any science, we need some tools. The main tool that we use in Kabbalic studies, in the science of Kabbalah, is inner development of our heart, development of our desire. So that's the main idea, that instead of making changes outside of us, we make changes inside of us. And like in any science, again, we repeat that we discover phenomena, that we discover the object of exploration. We apply the knowledge that we take from the wisdom of Kabbalah, the knowledge that we take from each and every lesson, from each and every round of explorations. And we repeat, we record, and then we pass to others. And that's what Kabbalists do. When they reach specific level, they share only what they discovered themselves, only the things that they experienced, and it became their knowledge. So we get through transformation in our life, and we transform our desire from desire to receive for ourselves into desire to receive for others. Along with desire to receive for others grows the desire to bestow, to give. And that's actually the way of how we get to the upper reality, how we discover the upper world, and how we connect with the system. And by getting this desire to bestow, we actually get attribute of the Creator, which is the main bestowal power. And the idea that well-beings of others become my main concern, become my main feature, and my main part of me, that's what the wisdom of Kabbalah teaches. And when we go through the process of equilibrium, we actually get to that we reach that main goal, how to fulfill ourselves. You remember this glass that filled with water, right? It's a sort of metaphor of how we filled ourselves, how we become whole. And that's how we unite with Creator. So basically the hand that was given get finally connected with the hand that is receiving in a perfect, beautiful way. So today we had very little time. I was preparing for quite a while for that gathering, because I knew that we will have only 1 hour. And the subject of Kabbalah, it's huge, really. I honestly worked 3 weeks doing my homework, going through different materials, and trying to pick the best of the best. And what I can add, just the last few words. You have these pieces of puzzles. You are, I am, each of us, pieces of puzzles, pieces of one huge, beautiful, multicolored piece. All our teachings that we trying to learn, that we're trying to understand, comprehend, there are so many methods and philosophies, but they're talking about one and only one thing. Love is everything. Beatles were right. They were so right about that. So, I love you. And I know you love me. And love each other. Yeah. And just let's connect our hands. Yeah. Thank you very much. And you're welcome tomorrow for more and more what you can do about yourself, your own DNA, on the body level, on the level of the physical, and daily, actually, daily life. Yeah, I'm going to give really, really practical tools. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not the Kabbalist because I'm still student of Kabbalah and other teachings as well. But if you have any questions, please ask me. I might answer. Yes. Which gram? No, it doesn't resonate, yeah. Mm-hmm. But how it looks like? Because there are many different diagrams that, how it looks like? Huh? It's different. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I believe if you look on a tree of life, and actually the main components of the system, you might find some similarities, because I found most of the teachings, they have some resemblance with system. It's actually so basic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Irena, thank you.
Thank you.
Slide said each creature must go through a transformation. Could a transformation be like something Bob mentioned, that the I am, so the
Realization of who I am. Realization, yes. Transformation from understanding by cognitive understanding, from understanding by your brain through to understanding by your heart, to feel, to know the language of know thyself is basically to understand the language of your higher, your consciousness, language of your higher layers, of your higher consciousness, higher mind, higher self. I mean, different modalities, they use different terms, but the meaning of the language of yourself, the sixth sense, you discover your sixth sense. That's the wisdom of Kabbalah teaching, that's the main. Because we have five senses, right? And we are so fond of developing all that. So we are gourmet of tastes, or we are gourmet of some nice music, right? Or we are gourmet of some visual arts. We admire some visual arts. So we really develop our five senses. But basically nothing really fundamental that teaches us how to develop sixth sense, except Kabbalah actually. And some maybe philosophies that really advanced I wouldn't say that a box of Kabbalah is a box per se, it's supposed to be as is, but Kabbalah provides a lot of tools, a lot of clear understanding how it all works together. Yeah, it really brings all together, literally. Yeah, but transformation, you go through transformation through developing of this sixth sense. Yeah.
Is that done by intellectual study or experience?
Only by experience. Only by experience. And from my personal experience, I can, as Jerry mentioned, more than 90 different modalities. So when once I was asked to write the list of different things that I learned, and on the number 90, I just stopped. Yeah, I just forget it, doesn't matter. And each day you can see more and more and more methods, modalities, ways, teachings coming up, popping up. People create, oh, I created something, oh, I create. All that is just different languages of how the same message is coming through to us, to humanity. And they all saying the same thing. Okay, you ask so many questions, but the answer is the same answer. Just listen, just become open, just become allowance. And that's the main idea. Once you become allowing, become a vessel, expand your vessel, receive. All is given, you just receive, which means relax, have fun, enjoy. That's the main idea, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes? Heart science? You remember point in the heart? Yeah, the little point in the heart. That's actually is. Heart as an organ, it's pumping blood. But heart as we use in a metaphorical meaning, right? That's the place where we develop. That's why we say that you less think, more feel through your heart. So you less study text, but go and apply it. Go live your life and apply it. Start applying it. Yeah, I started to tell that those modalities that I was learning, right, hundreds, whatever, they all talking about the same thing. Only when I started to apply it, I started to get results. Day after day, day after day, I started to feel it. Ooh, I am creator. I am co-creator. Oh, things happening. Just some people call me witch. That people don't know, but you know what is it about, right? So it's literally you wish and it's coming up. The only thing, just don't resist. But I learned it through heart. I felt. I started to learn what am I feeling telling me. Tomorrow we're going to talk more about that because it's really, really important subject of how you actually apply it in a daily life. But that's really great question. That's it's only through your feelings. So you experience and you check. Oh, how do I feel? Oh, I feel this way. Oh, interesting, this way. Oh, I've never felt that before. Oh, how fun. And literally like a fine-tuning on a radio, you find your waves, you find those vibrations when it's really correlate with you, then it clicks, then you say, oh, that's for me. So basically all experiences that we're going through, whatever events happening in our life, whatever people we meet, whatever we read, whatever we find, all our experiences, they're so multicolored, right? And multi-emotional. And it's only in order for us to sort and shift and sort and find this one I want, this one I don't want, this one I want, this one I don't want. By that, we're going through transformation, we're growing, we're developing, and we develop in our vessel, we develop our greatest ultimate desire to give, to bestow. Mm-hmm. And that comes only from heart. It cannot come from here. Yeah. From here it will come partially, again, some egoistic portion of that will be present if you use brain. Because brain is actually a tool of the ego. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Earlier you said that in centuries past the world was not ready to get the message, and that it now is. Can you give us some examples of why the world is now ready?
More and more people started to ask questions. When they start to ask questions, in the Kabbalah, you saw Tree of Life. It's actually showing different levels of where we are. Human can be in a state of stones, in a state of plants, in a state of animals, and then in a state of human, and then he moves to spirituality. So stones, kind of not moving, stillness, no questions asked, whatever. Oh, recently I saw on Facebook, my friends showed me that scientists showing different diagrams and formulas and showing, okay, we have matter, we have antimatter, and we have a new substance, doesn't matter. So, doesn't matter, yeah. So doesn't matter, it's a level of stillness. It's, yeah, so when there are no desires whatsoever, you have burger, you have the ball game rolling on a TV, and that's it. You don't need any. You have couch, and that's it, right? So kind of no questions asked. Now more and more people, you see that. You see also another sign. People say that what's going on, that there are conflicts, there are some crises going on, there are some people, wrong people in the head of the government, and etc., right? More and more kind of concentrated, really ready to pop up, ready to break down. that's the perfect moment for transformation, for realizations. People started to ask questions. I know for sure that the next time we have voting process, that we won't have those conversations like last time we had, that I asked some people who are Americans. I just became citizen, so it was my first voting. I didn't vote for Trump. I actually started to research, and I found out that there are more than 2 parties, actually. Sort of, yeah. And I started to ask questions, and people say, well, it doesn't matter. Well, I got many, many different answers, but all of them, they were about the same, that basically, yes, people either gave up or either don't want to, or just... Now, because of what's happening, people started to ask questions, and they started to pay attention. They actually started to learn that there are ways how we can do different choices. So in order to adjust your choices, you need to have really bad experience, right? But it's bad only if you see that as a bad. But if you see that as an experience, as something that you can get benefit from it, then it's not so dramatic. So the level of drama that we create, it's only because of unknowing things, not because it's really drama. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Yeah.
I'm a little confused about, you mentioned Abraham came up with the basis of the
Yeah.
And then what was lost in oral transition from those guys. Who's supposed to have written the Talmud? And is the Talmud from the inscription of Kabbalah, or is it separate?
It's not separate. I would say Talmud, it's a kind of manual for life. So when, for example, you have a question, go to Talmud, and the question is described. But it's more in a straightforward way. So here, what you need to do. So Kabbalah teaches that actually there are different main resources. You can be learning from straightforward answers, but it's just like any other book, right? You can learn from metaphor, and you can learn from, so there are 4, I don't remember two other right now, 2 other ways, but there are 4 different ways how you can learn that. But when we use Kabbalah, wisdom of Kabbalah, there is a reference to Talmud and Torah, not less to Talmud, more to Torah. And it's only reference. It's not exactly, I would say that Torah based on a Kabbalah, on the principles of Kabbalah. So, but it's still useful resource. It's not really translated yet in the best way possible, because there is music in that. Music of sounds. It's really, I mean, some of us, we do this, it's a part of our research, it's part of our discoveries right now, that how sounds and shapes and colors correlates, right? It's a lot of it in Hebrew. So that's why at the beginning there were requirements that you have to be Jew, you have to be male, you have to be Jew, not because of Jew, but because many Kabbalists, they are not Jews, but because you need to know Hebrew, or it's desirable to know Hebrew in order to really comprehend the depths of all that, because it's really multidimensional. Yeah, but Abraham was the author of the the Tree of Life, Etz Chaim. He wrote that main book of Kabbalah, and the Torah, Talmud, they came later on based on that. Same as Genesis, yeah.
Based on, like the Bible have the book of so-and-so, it may not have been written by him, but they'll put things in
Yeah. Again, those people were channelers. They were connected with a source, and a source was giving that information, right? Who knows how many times it was...
So there's nobody that's supposed to be the author of the book. It's more of a general thing that's just collectively been given down to the years, or doing, like Abraham was responsible for it, or Moses.
He was one of those people who came to discoveries, right? So he was the first known man who discovered Kabbalah and started to teach Kabbalah, started to share Kabbalic wisdom of Kabbalah. It's a wisdom of Kabbalah. That means it's a system. It's not a religion. It's not a belief. Because the first thing you find when you open, I mean, when you get into studies of Kabbalah, the first thing you hear: do not believe any word you read. Because if you believe, that's it. It's already religion, or it's some kind of cult. No. Apply and see how it works for you. Adjust for yourself. Experience yourself. And that's what Abraham was teaching. That's why it was so attractive, because it was so personal that time. And right now, again, the same thing, actually. People who are great Kabbalists, for example, Dr. Lightman, Rav Wolf, those are really wonderful. Those are my personal suggestions. Not necessarily their best, it's just from my personal example, they're great teachers. So they always put accent. Go and try. Don't listen to me, whatever I say. I just give you tool. I just kind of give you the frame, vague frame. And you discover, you go deeper and you discover. Yeah. And for some period of time it was kind of hidden because people weren't ready. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then, you remember how much brown movement in our head, and you need to be really focused. In order to be focused, women always were with kids, house, and etc., etc. Men were more prepared, and they had the ability to keep it up, because the idea that to keep Kabbalah up to now, why Hebrew was recovered. And you see right now, the teachings that come in now, for example, Cryon, Abraham, Esther Hicks, or Bashar, or any other channeling that you're taking right now, all materials they're teaching right now, and they're referring to Hebrew letters. There were some questions that people ask, why Hebrew? Because it's one of the core languages. That's what explained. What it means, core languages. There were other languages that were way before Hebrew, but that's the only language that right now got recovered. Not Aramaic, but Hebrew. That got recovered. So there is a purpose. There is nothing happens without purpose, right? So, mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a two-parter. When you talk about the, in the beginning you were talking about the receiving, it sounds similar to maybe the deliberate creation with Esther Hicks type of thing?
Exactly the same. They were saying that, yes, don't look on a box of Kabbalah. Basically, the teachings that come in right now, it's explanation of the same things. Yeah. So Kabbalah, again, what it means, Kabbalah? Likabel, receive. It's just the wisdom of how to receive. It's a wisdom of how and wisdom of how to be fulfilled. And through Esther, the teachings of Abraham, the main point, it's about how to be fulfilled. Yeah, to develop that sense of joy, the sense of that true sense of enjoyment and wholeness. And when you feel whole, when your desire is completely fulfilled. You remember Esther brought the example that, okay, I can buy this car, new car, I was dreaming last night about. I'll be happy for the rest afternoon. What next day? Right? So just one afternoon, it's not enough, right? It's not enough. Next day you want to desire something more. But when you have this desire that always burning in you, that you want to give really honestly with a true love, Abraham through Esther teaching how to love unconditionally. No conditions, no dependence, no partial, no you do this and then I love you. You don't do this, or I don't love you anymore. Unconditional, regardless of what's going on.
So it's similar, but just different rules? Or
Just different words, different wording, different way, different language, yeah. Just different languages of presenting the same, idea.
And then I understand, from what I've understood, Kabbalah is more similar to the metaphysical parts of other religions than...
It's not a religion. It's not a religion. Kabbalah is not a religion.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But, no, I'm saying
But
like the metaphysical sections of other religions,
Mhm.
if you take like the Sufis, or,
Yes.
you know, it's
Yeah.
more similar
Ye-
to the metaphysical parts, sections of different religions.
You can find a lot of parts in Sufism, in Buddhism, in I Ching. Honestly, I found a lot of correlations. When you read Bhagavad Gita, you find a lot what it said in Kabbalah.
I find that the essence of Kabbalah is very similar to the essence of all the other key studies that are there.
Yeah.
And you read the Course in Miracles.
Right.
It's the same message.
Right.
There's one, and it's coming back to the one. You read the Walter Russell stuff.
Right.
And everything is light, and it's there's a separation.
Yeah.
That's not there. You get back to that separation.
Absolutely right. Dr. Lightman, he met many times with very world-known, very famous physicists and nanotechnologists and biochemists and but mainly with physicists and quantum physicists. And literally, they were so impressed. I wanted to include, but maybe I can bring tomorrow. I can send you the link, or you can find it. Actually, there were some conferences in San Francisco where they studied for a few days from Dr. Lightman the basics of Kabbalah, and they found out, yes, it's a completely different view of the world. Through the wisdom of Kabbalah, you see the world completely different. That opens up realms that help you to make all the discoveries in a completely different way, and of course, different speed. So it's extremely helpful. So Kabbalah says, and Dr. Lightman in many interviews, you can find him in this kabtv.org. There are many short segments, very easy to comprehend, where Dr. Lightman explains he actually answers the questions. And there are several interviews where he explains how physicists right now can come up with the ideas that were in Kabbalah, they were already many centuries ago, were explained completely. So Kabbalists, they see all that, they feel that, they live that. Physicists right now only start to discovering that.
As an example of that, the amplitude hedron, which the quantum physicists are talking about, this amplitude hedron is in Feynman particle physics. Particles come and particles disappear. And if you try to figure out the equations that pull all those particles together, they found that was really a portion of the star tetrahedron. And that part of the star tetrahedron, they didn't see it as a Star of David, but it really was that in a three-dimensional way. That's 1/4 of the Star of David three-dimensionally is in fact the basis of all particle physics. And so that's quantum mechanics, basically.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of the alphabet. When I look at the alphabet, it's the Star of David and just aspects of that. And that's the reason it's a universal language, because that's who we are and that's how we are generated.
Yes. Yeah. German wall fell down, you remember? Yeah, Soviet Union changes, yeah. So whenever you see like crisis is going on in a bigger scale, in a country scale, so that means that there is a time to people got breakthrough, right? So it's like a pimple, literally. So any kind of crisis, you look at that in a more positive way right now, because you know it's just before the moving transformation to the another level, higher level. It's a time for realization. It's a time for realization, because the void that created by any kind of crisis, people started to create void inside. They feel something need to be done. And they already see that old ways do not work anymore, right? There should be some other way. So they start to ask questions. And here's the answer.
So like those were acts of people as opposed to maybe acts of governments.
Absolutely, absolutely. In order to grow bigger, something need to happen. And once it become bigger, the answer already ready. Bestow already ready to give. Here you go. And that's how we move up and up and up. That's how within 100 years, we really, really exploited in our, we expanded so much, we exploited in our development, right? You can observe. It's really literally within the last 100 years. Huge development of our consciousness. Mm-hmm. So now you will see whatever happens that before we say it, oh, it's bad. No, it's not bad. Just stop, breathe, and look at it. Oh, it's something interesting. Okay, let me see. What can I find here? What it is given to me? Oh, I am growing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Kabbalah accepted across the full spectrum of Judaism? In other words, the Orthodox Jews?
Don't accept, of course. Yeah, because, and actually Kabbalists also, they say, we are not Judaism, we are not teaching any religion. It's a pure science of creation. It's a pure science of what is it life about, what to do, and why we're here, and answer those questions in a best cognitive way. Not some, yeah, so that's why Kabbalists, they don't, I mean, these red strings, it's not Kabbalah, it just already came along, kind of, yeah, or sort of tarot cards, it's not Kabbalah, yeah, and any kind of mystic altars on any kind of symbols, no, it's not at all. Kabbalists do not accept. It doesn't matter how you dress, it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter who you are, actually, right now, it doesn't matter, yeah. You know, Madonna came along, Britney Spears come along, yeah, also, yeah. But actually, Isaac Newton was studying Kabbalah. Plato was studying Kabbalah. He was a student of Kabbalah. He had his own version in Latin. Pythagoras. I have a whole list of, I mean, you can find in the Kabbalah.info, you can find a whole list of scientists and famous people who, Leonardo da Vinci, yeah, most likely Tesla. I don't know, most likely, because he kind of touched on that. Einstein didn't know. No, he didn't. He asked the questions, but he didn't go into Kabbalah for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah. I really like Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, I learned a lot from I Ching. I still use Qigong, but it's right now, Qigong, it's actually Qi, it's prana or energy, and Gong, it's work. So you work with energy. Right now it became more expanded, more fulfilled way of working with energy. one of my favorite masters, master of Qigong. He taught us informational Qigong, which is right now used by all scientists. Yeah, bioinfo energy. I really admire Dr. Lightman. He's really, really great teacher in terms of language, simplicity, very easy and a lot of fun. And I really I found that Rav Wolf, they in Australia, it's a father and son. Son really funky punky. He's really fun. He makes a lot of jokes and he presents material in a very interesting, modern way, very applicable, very, very clear also. And his father, Rav Wolf, he's more serious, but very thorough, very, very deep. And his calmness really admiring. Yeah, so what is worth to do, it's worth to hear new teachings that coming up right now. Not what it was before, right now. Not to read the books that are written many, many, many years ago, but what's coming up right now. And less of the books, but more hear what your inner self telling you. Talk to your innate. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. That's really, really important topic, to learn how to talk with your innate. Basically, our body built to live 900 years. Actually, to be more exact, 950. That's how biologically our structure is. That's our blueprint. And there are some examples that people lived 300, 350, 400, something like that. And Abraham lived more than 900 years. 7 years he gave to David. He kind of gave truma. He gave, because 70 years to give life to David, because King David was supposed to, he knew that King David was supposed to die in early childhood, but he knew that he has great potential, so he gave part of his life, kind of, he was capable to do that. Yeah, that was interesting. That's what's written in Kabbalah as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.